Hello guys, Yazid is here, and today we are going to talk about how to build a rush deck. If you missed my last tutorial, you can find it here, which is about building deck in general and tips about it. Now, when you play as a rush deck, you need to consider your strategy first and the faction you play as. Now let's start step by step. When you want to choose a specific faction, for example, we have Leonard here, and these are the two general we have, which is give 2 attack for your minion or restore 3 health to any minion. Now you need to remember, when you are playing rush, you are playing in order to win a fast game, which means your minion are really cheap and large amount of minion. So restoring a 3 health will not be as good as giving your minion an extra attack, especially when you have like a lot of 1/1 minion or that you can sacrifice in order to get more value. Now this work the same for all the general. So playing as an aggro, summoning a 2/2 minion maybe is more preferable than dealing double damage to the minions, unless you have like a lot of heal in the minion, and it's not like 100% rule you have to stick with, but it's something to think about. Now here we have an interesting choice in Abyssian. We have deal 1 damage, turn this into Shadow Creep, or summon a 2/2 Rattling. Now these two generals fit the purpose, but it depends now that do you have cards that interact with Shadow Creeps, or do you have cards that interact with large number of minions. Now when you are playing as an aggro deck, when the enemy draw, it is not as important as you draw, because your hand are going to be empty a lot of the time. So it's worth considering both player draw cards as a bloodborne spell over the gain 1 attack. Now, but as I told you, this is depend on the strategy you are playing. Maybe you are playing a strategy that buff your general and using card that give your general attack, such as this claw, an artifact, or using the abundant life force. But this is really expensive, which is do not fit the style. Maybe one off as a tech choice in order to surprise the enemy with it. And we have here Vannar, and here like it may look like this is, now they have actually changed the bloodborne spell, and now it give a 1/1 to the minion you summon this turn. So if you have a large number of minion with really low cost, you can can work really good with you. But when you deal 2 damage, work more preferably when you want to kill the enemy with the spells, or not by a large number. Now let's talk about the strategies you use when you play as an aggro. Now the first strategy is using a spell oriented deck, which is in order to deal magic damage to the enemy's face. And this strategy work on only specific classes, which you can use, like for example, you can use Phoenix Fire, you can use give you a minion a general +3, and card like this by surprising the enemy with large amount of damage. Now this type of decks tend to have minion that give them a spell or an extra damage against the enemy. Here is, for example, we have a lantern fox, and whenever this minion take damage, put a fire phoenix in your hand. So cards like this exist with in combination with a spell damage in your deck, and you can just keep smashing the enemy from far ahead. Now these deck are really hard to pull off because you need all the specific cards to be able to do the damage. So if there is like a specific deck you want to copy, it's hard to replace any card. And the second type is playing with a minion that deal damage. Minions that deal damage are different types. For example, maybe it have an effect like this, which is deal 3 damage to both general, or maybe it's a rush minion that attack the enemy immediately. Now, by playing a lot of this minion in your deck, you are able to keep dealing damage every turn to the enemy, and if he don't have an answer even for one turn, he will fall really behind. And the third type is by spawning a large number of minions. By spawning a large number of minions, you are able to, for example here, Wrathing Swarm, you summon 3 Wrathing nearby. Now by spawning a large number of minions, you are able to use minions with specific effect like Death Witch. This is an example, which is gain 1/1. There is and minion and an area buff. Area buff is the best card can be used with this type of minion. So Shadowback is one of the examples you can get, which is allow you to get 2 attacks this turn. Okay, and the other example is War Surge, which is give all minion 1/1. Now, lastly, in the rush type, playing buffs. Now, minion that buff others minion are really helpful, especially when you are playing rush type and with it, or when you are playing large spawn. These minions fit really well, and also spells that buff provide a really great advantage for you. When you want to play an aggro deck, you need a minions that cost really low, or the one that spawn a lot of other minions to be able to handle it, or buff. And you need to remember to pick the general that most effective with your deck, and you need to remember that to keep your hand with to get minions that give you more cards in order to be able to keep pushing the enemy backward with tempo. And the deck have to have some synergy in it, just as I told you before. Like if you are using a lot of spells, so maybe it fit to get the Lantern Fox or any minion that give for example the Magma Forager, lower the spell cost in order to get more damage. And don't forget, you can mix the strategy of the minions together. So for example, you can get a spells, maybe a deck with a lot of rush minion, which will result into surprising the enemy, and with the buff that end at the end of the turn, it will be, for example, this buff give a minion or general 3 attacks with rush minion and spells oriented deck, maybe this can work. Now you have to experiment, and that's what is a part of the enjoyment in the game. So I hope this guide was helpful for building an aggro deck or rush deck in order to face the enemy. Now this is the first guide I made because as I told you before, I recommended the aggro for the new player because it do not need a lot of legendary. Most of the time it need like really low cost and common or rare card only. So I hope you like the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.